Our job as adults, as parents, is to grow our children into these happy, healthy, independent kids who can go off and kick them out of the nest and they can succeed on their own. Our job is to grow them, right? Well, our job as leaders is to grow leaders.
Welcome to the From Within podcast with Ben Osterveld.
Hey guys, this is Ben Osterveld here from the From Within podcast. We have Camren Herold on our show today. The show is built around being a catalyst for your life, your business, your relationships. Camren is an all-star CEO, all-star business coach, public speaker. We could probably spend 5 minutes introducing him. I'm not going to do that totally, but when you take a company from 1 million or 2 million to 100 million, you're at a different league than the guys. Millions almost like starting ground nowadays. And but Camren's done a lot. You look online, we'll have some links on the show. So welcome, Camren. Truly privileged to have you on the show. Pumped to have a conversation here.
Hey, Ben, thanks for having me, man. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, awesome. First off, just so you know, I have a friend that talked to me. I mentioned that I'm going to have you on the show. And he says, did you know Camren's been to jail? And I said, what? He goes, yeah, and I've taught him every single thing that he knows is because of me. Do you know a man named Steve Sims?
Steve Sims. Steve. I'm like, Steve
throwing you off right out of the gate, eh?
I'm like, no, I don't know anybody named Steve Fix. Shit.
Yes, wrong name.
That's awesome.
I said, hey, I'm chatting with Camren. He goes, well, make sure he knows that everything that he knows is because of me. I taught him everything he knows.
Yeah, we weren't in jail together. We were in prison together. We were in a level 4 state penitentiary together.
Yeah, it's honestly on my list. I told Steve, I said, I think I want to come with you one of these times. So just to make it clear, it wasn't actually in prison serving time. It was, why don't you just tell me just 2 seconds to clarify what that exactly was? Because I think that's pretty cool what you did there.
No, I actually want to go a couple minutes on this if you wouldn't mind. It was probably one of the biggest life-changing moments for me as an adult. We went inside 20 entrepreneurs, 20 CEOs went inside of Kern Valley, which is a level 4 state penitentiary in California. And we spent an entire day coaching and mentoring what they call entrepreneurs in training, which are prisoners who have been in prison. Most of them were in prison for between 8 and 34 years. I was talking to one guy who was my age, who was 52. He's been in prison since he was 18, and he's never seen a blade of grass, a tree, or a flower in 34 years.
Crazy.
Getting ready to be released. And the reality is the system is so messed up that no one will ever hire an ex-convict, a former prisoner. So their only real choice is to either reoffend to make money or to start their own company. If you can't get a job, like, how do you get food, right? So you either have to go back to crime, which they don't want to. After 34 years, the last place they want to do is go back to jail. Anyway, a really profoundly moving experience at one point, and then I'll wrap this.
Go for it. It's cool. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, at one point I was sobbing. I was standing there completely crying with these 60 prisoners. And these are big men, tattoos, ink. These are the Aryan Nation, the Crips, the Blood, like the major gangs are there. And 3 of the prisoners started walking towards me in this gymnasium, and guns go up. The guards up on the walkway, guns go up. The prisoners are walking towards me. I'm sobbing. And these 3 guys come up and gave me a hug, and not just like a hey bro hug, but like a mother would hug their son who is crying kind of a hug. These 3 men held me and I cried, and they just kept saying, it's okay. You're going to be okay. You're a good dad. And I was fucking falling apart. And I realized the humanity of the situation too. So yeah, for anybody listening, if they want to go, if they want to email me, I can introduce them to Kat Hawk, who started Defy Ventures. She's got a new program that takes entrepreneurs and prisoners into prison. She just took another group with another friend of mine into Pelican Bay, which is the SHU, is solitary confinement. It's the only level 5 in California. But anyway, you're in there with the worst of the worst, but man, it is humanity at its biggest level.
Huge. I think Steve Sims is putting a trip together too.
Yeah. He's doing one as well.
A few people. I think it's brilliant. I love the fact that we started talking about that out of the gate. It's so human and real. You know what I mean?
Well, and I have a huge issue with the prison system now, and I always had. I didn't really like the fact that when you're out of prison, they don't get to vote and they don't get jobs. I mean, if you're in prison, you should be a bad person. If you're out of prison, you should be like everybody else. And I think it should be biased, just like race bias or gender bias, or you know, physical ability bias. I don't think we should bias against people who have done something wrong.
Yeah.
Because once they're out of prison, they should have a clean slate again.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, what are we doing this for?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. There should be some rules on hiring and all that, right?
Yeah. You know,
Like,
and I agree with some of the bias against like a mass murderer or a violent rapist. But I mean, damn, like if somebody has, like, if you and I were out for dinner and we were driving home with our girlfriends or our wives, and we, or as Steve Simmons would say, or both, and we were, you know, having our, you know, we'd each had a few glasses of wine together. You know, maybe we'd had 3 or 4 glasses of wine, right? We're not smashed, but we're over the limit.
yeah.
We hit somebody, hit another car.
Yeah.
The driver of that car dies. We will be convicted of vehicular homicide.
Yeah.
Which means we go to jail for 3 to 5 years minimum.
Yeah.
We're an owner and a dad and a good person. We're going to jail. Well, while you're in jail, the gangs all of a sudden control you, unless you want to be their you know, their doll. You know, you're going to do what you're told in jail for the next few years, which means you start getting convicted of other things. And when you're out of prison, they start to control you out on the streets too. It's just a scary thing. So I think we have to give prisoners their rights back, and then also help hire them. If you hire a prisoner, they're never going to quit. They're going to be loyal to you forever.
Really cool point.
Right.
I love that in business we look for that white space. That's amazing white space.
Huge
like
white.
it's actually, I'm just processing it now. I'm going, holy shit, that's amazing.
You think of all these prisoners that would love to do sales or would love to do
and they're crazy good. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and they've led teams. They're good at leadership. You know,
Sure.
These are good.
I love that.
On and on and on and on. I had dinner one night with the largest cocaine dealer in U.S. history. When he was arrested, he had been doing $986 million a year in cocaine, buying it from the U.S. government. And I had dinner with this guy. He's one of the best business leaders I've ever met in my life.
Wow.
It was
love it.
Freeway rip.
What a great topic, man. What a great topic. Prisoners, and what an awesome white space. You just unlocked a whole other area of my life, because what an opportunity for finding an amazing talent. Like,
I have a friend of mine in California, John Shigarian, owns a company called the Electronic Recyclers of America. And I think he's at about 600 employees now, and every one of them is either an ex-convict or a kid who's been on the street. He doesn't hire kids from college or kids from university, because he's like, they're already biased. He goes, I want the ones who are going to work hard and are loyal, and they'll attract their friends, and I'll keep them forever.
Did you see, I heard a study, I need to get it and read it myself, but I've heard it a couple of times. Amazon did the best employee study or something, and it was about you always hire someone that's overcome adversity, and they become the absolute best employees. So it's not even just like helping someone out or just logical. It's actually some data behind it.
Yeah, well, I haven't heard the Amazon one, but there's a group out of India called the Taj Hotel Group, TAJ, which is kind of like the Four Seasons of Canada. Mm-hmm. And do you remember about 10 years ago, there were the terrorists that went in and bombed the Oberoi and the Taj Hotel, and they were shooting up people in the hallways. I don't know if you remember this story.
No.
Big terrorism in Bombay. And they interviewed the CEO of the Taj, and they said, you know, some of your employees never left the hotel. Like, even when all the bombing and the terrorists were there, they never left. What happened and why? And they said, well, it was our honor to serve, and it was our obligation to serve. And so they asked the CEO of the hotel, like, how did you find these people? And he goes, we never hire anyone from a big city. You know, they wouldn't hire someone from a New York or Chicago or Boston or Edmonton or Toronto. They only hire people from the small towns, from the villages. They only hire people from the Sudburys and the Hinton, Albertas, and the Eugene, Oregons, because their core values are still stronger. And it was
small town.
The small town values, right? It's all of these grandmotherisms that I think, and it's funny because I'm actually going to be working on a book called Grandmotherisms, but it's a
out of how many books? 19 you're writing?
I don't know. This is just another one that I started jotting notes down for now. So
I love it.
Yeah. What was the one that I just said there? It was the small town values. But all of those things that grandmother told us are real.
Yeah.
You know, everything like
just old school values.
Right. Be good to people.
Yeah. I call it country folk.
Yeah.
Like in Alberta, it's a good old Albertan way, you know, like it's a country folk. A handshake means something nowadays, like old school. Like that's my word. I'm going to go, hey, you need help? I'll grab my tractor. Let me just help you out. Like old school. I grew up that way. That's my values were built like that here.
Well, and those values, those kind of thought processes are what makes a company really scale.
Mm.
It's not an MBA out of some fancy university running pivot tables. It is the old town, hey, let me do that. It is the core value stuff. If you go and talk to any of the best leaders and you really boil it down, it comes back to that, but we tend to overcomplicate it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite topics. Like even the basics when I'm coaching either a small business or an agent, I just think like do something worth talking about, and that comes through thoughtfulness. At the end of the day, your marketing is the conversation behind your back. And I said that comes from like doing things that are going to blow their mind through service, and it just reminds me, you know, like just thoughtful, just show up and help their kid. Show up and be like, hey, you know what? I got this old truck here. I was heading to the dump. I'll just go pick that up for you. You don't think that's going to be good marketing? Forget marketing. It's human.
It's also the same with it's also the same with your employees. Show up and help your employees. You know, we don't.
Great.
You think about like our job as adults, as parents, is to grow our children into these happy, healthy, independent kids who can go off and kick them out of the nest and they can succeed on their own. Our job is to grow them, right? Well, our job as leaders is to grow leaders. It's not to hold them accountable and manage them. Flip the org chart upside down so we're at the bottom and allow us to support and coach and mentor and lead and help our employees. If we show up every day as that servant leader, and this isn't out of some popular book, it's just simpler. Right?
Yeah, no, I had this experience. We're kind of doing, I think we're both a bit ADD, so we're going to have a great show here. We're going to be on jumping around, but
I have 17 of the 18 signs of attention deficit disorder.
I've never wanted to look at them, but I can tell you right now, I'm definitely wild. And I think
no, my ex-wife said if I was paying attention, I would have been 18 for 18. I used to have, this is funny. I bought this stuffed squirrel. Yeah. Like a real stuffed squirrel, and it sat on like this.
Oh, like a taxidermy.
A taxidermy squirrel. And I had it sitting behind me on my desk. So whenever I was doing coaching calls, if the CEO was distracted, I would kind of move it. And they'd be like, oh my God, a squirrel. I'd be like, what?
That's great. An actual squirrel.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess back to the point I was trying to make too. By the way, whenever I do speaking or I do workshops, the hardest thing to do, by the way, we're ADDing again, but the hardest thing to do is a 10 or 15 to 20 minute talk.
Oh, I did it. I did a TEDx talk that's on the main TED.com website.
The kids one.
And the kids one, it was actually filmed in Edmonton.
I noticed that 1.7 million views, and I honestly almost thought of doing the entire show on it after watching it, to be honest.
Yeah, I would love to have a shot at redoing that one because we didn't know then what TED was. You know, the TED wasn't online in those years, and the TEDx was just starting, so we really didn't understand what it was going to be about. But yeah, an 18-minute talk or a 15-minute talk is really, really tough.
Yeah, I spoke at Philip McKernan's first One Last Talk.
Yeah,
where it's the last talk you ever give, and like you're going to die after your talk at 15 minutes.
What did you speak about?
You know, you got to see now. We got 15 minutes, but ultimately, what I said was, we're handed a set of beliefs, and I say you need to burn your set of beliefs to find out what you really believe. We're told to be certain ways all our lives, and I said, at the end of the day, even if it's your faith, put it on the fire, put every single thing on the fire, burn it, and see what's left.
Wow!
And I actually thought about writing a book called "Burn Your Faith," which is pretty controversial.
I really like that. I'm going to talk about that later today. Burn your beliefs. I was at Burning Man. I go to Burning Man a number of times.
Yeah, I heard you like that.
I love it.
My real estate team goes. One of my guys is like, I got to go for 10 days. I'll be lights out. I'm like, where are you going?
I wear playa dust. This is from Burning Man. I wear it around my neck.
Wow, serious business.
Well, it reminds me of what's important. But years ago, I was there, and someone had built about a 5-story wooden church. And on the Thursday night, it's the pre-burn night, they burned it down.
Yeah.
And there were a couple thousand people standing around this church watching it. And it was a very cathartic experience to just burn my beliefs and just like, I believe in something. I believe in things. I believe in but I don't believe in what I was taught that way or that or there, right? I love that concept of burn your beliefs and then decide what you really have.
Well, see what I say, if it's real, it won't burn.
Right.
That's my whole thesis. That's my life mission. If you ask me what kind of coaching I do, that's what I do. I just package it into different formats.
That's interesting.
If you can help people truly see who they are, you'll see transformational, exponential growth through human transformation versus here's the strategies. It just takes a lot of work and it's a slow growth. But
that's really cool.
Or double and triple growth by the human getting out of the way or aligning to your beliefs before it's a strategy.
That's powerful stuff.
Yeah, that's you got me on my favorite topic. Didn't mean to bring it up, but that's the direction.
Cool.
For life. So, yeah, but interesting about employees. I was just on that note. I think it's really interesting. I just learned something the other day, and it was something what you were it just triggered a thought when you said, you take care of employees, you help them, and so I do a lot of outsourcing to my team. I'm growing leaders, but what I noticed I was doing was I had one of my team members mentoring the next team member. So I was almost 2 away from the actual leadership training. Like I'm the great coach, I'm the teacher, but now I'm trying to outsource that, and it's working really well. Yeah. But then what I was doing was I was helicoptering in. This is literally 2 days old here. I'm going to make a video on it, do a little something on it, but I helicoptered in and did some coaching to this person who I was 2 persons away from. And then I went back and there was so much resistance. And I'm like, what's up with this? And I realized, wow, I empowered someone else. I didn't have context to where they're at, but I came in with just the solution.
Yeah, it's called seagull management.
I just experienced, I'm like, why am I not like, I coach people, I inspire people, I'm good at this, and then I'm not getting results, but it was the first time I'm really outsourcing leadership.
Yeah, well, if you flip your org chart upside down, so the CEO is at the bottom supporting the VPs who are supporting the managers who are supporting the customers, and everyone sees the vivid vision, and you build your company inside your core purpose and your core values, you'll find that there's not as much of a need to go over top of somebody. Like you kind of when you're supporting someone, what you'll see is, geez, I want to coach this person. So how do I coach the person who should be coaching them? How do I grow them?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like now you could have coached them directly, but if their manager had been there while you coached them, then they could have learned, they could have observed, they could have watched. Then you could have gone back and talked to their manager about what worked and didn't work and what they observed and how they could improve,
Yeah.
But it's always
so true.
Yeah. The goal is always to grow the team. And if your team can't grow their team, then your job is to grow your team, right? So they can grow their team.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I love the whole concept of all the growing leaders and what you do. And you mentioned vivid vision. So let's go there. So the reason why you're on the show is because I actually listened to a podcast, Mr. Vishen Lakhiani, I think his last name Lakhiani, the Mindvalley podcast. And
from Mindvalley, wow.
Mindvalley. And that's where, to be honest with you, I usually try not to consume a million things, and I try to keep with a certain vein. So I actually didn't know you, Camren, until I actually listened to that podcast. And then I started discovering who you were, and I was like, geez, this is crazy. So I'm not a reader. Like, I barely know how to read. I've never been checked for dyslexic, but when I write words, they look backwards to me, and I just work through life. I proofread things like 25 times. They're filled with spelling errors, and I get shit on a lot for that. And I've learned that that's just part of who I am. And what I'm saying that for is because I don't usually just pick up the book and read it. And so what I did, and it says a lot, because Vivid Vision, I bought it. And first of all, look at the size. My favorite part, look at this. It's such an easy read.
Easy read.
I think the big giant books, I just get intimidated, or I'll listen to them on audio. That's the only thing I can do. We're getting a little cut out.
It's kind of like get to the point, right? We need authors to get to the point a little bit.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a cool idea. Yeah. So when I started reading this book, it just was like, wow, I started working on the Vivid Vision. So before I get into that, could you just give us an overview so people have context of what this Vivid Vision is, so people can understand what we're talking about?
Sure. So the Vivid Vision is something that I codified and decided to that I've rolled out. It's now being used in 28 countries. Look, most companies have a mission statement or a vision statement. They have that one sentence statement that they're trying to align their company with. they got all their employees together and they put a bunch of words up on a whiteboard, and then they voted on which words were the most impactful. And they took the 7 words that were left and they mashed them up into one sentence, and that became their vision statement, go team.
Yeah. And then just gets put away in a book somewhere.
And it doesn't explain it. So I met with an Olympic coach. There was 120 entrepreneurs that met with an Olympic coach, or we were invited to meet with an Olympic coach. 20 of us went. This was 20 years ago. It was 21 years ago now. And he was talking to us about athletes and how high performance athletes will use a process of visualization to see themselves performing the event. And he said that they will literally close their eyes and visualize themselves, going up over the high jump bar, or scoring the goal, or doing the shot, or skiing the course, or doing the gymnastic routine, whatever it is, they would visualize themselves doing it. Roger Federer, the tennis player, would visualize himself walking up to the net and shaking hands with Nadal and saying, "Great match."
Cool.
Like, he would literally visualize himself saying, "I beat you, good match."
Yeah.
So he said, if you can take that visualization process and bring it into the business world, you can succeed. So what we decided to do was visualize our company 3 years in the future, or visualize your life 3 years in the future. Not 5 years, not 10 years, not 20, but leaning out 3 years from now, December 31st, right? Yeah. So then what you do is you almost as if you went into a time machine, you hop in the DeLorean and you end up 3 years later, and you walk around your company, you describe the meetings, you describe the employees, you describe the culture, you describe the leadership team, you describe operations and IT and sales and marketing, and you write down 3 or 4 bullet points about every single business area. And you talk about what the customers are saying about you, what the employees are saying about you, what the media is writing about you. And you get all these written statements down and you pull them all together into a Word document. It might become a 3 or 4 page Word document. And then you get a professional writer to make it pop off the page. What you end up with, and you can add some design elements to it, what you end up with is a 4 or 5 page written document that describes your company 3 years in the future in such vivid detail that your leadership team can reverse engineer every sentence and figure out how to make each sentence come true. The best analogy, and then I'll stop, is let's say you've built a house or done a renovation, right? If you've renovated a kitchen or you built a home, the homeowner is really the CEO of that project. The homeowner knows what the finished project should look like. You don't ask the contractor to just build a house. You have to show the contractor what you want. When the contractor sees what you're looking for, when they get your vision, they can create a blueprint or a plan to make your vision come true. And then they give the blueprints to the employees, and the employees literally recreate your vision by following the plan. So in the business world, the vivid vision is the vision. The plan is what you put together to make the vision come true, and then the employees follow the plan.
It's cool. I just thinking about this. I'm reading a little bit out of your book, chapter 5 on 53, page 53. You have I highlighted a lot of your book. It's so easy to understand and consume. So it says a lot to how it was written, and I know you went through a process to do that. And
well, I'll give you another good book that you should read as well that ties in with the vivid vision concept is one that is called The Miracle Morning for Entrepreneurs. And I co-authored that book with Hal Elrod. And the Miracle Morning for Entrepreneurs talks about, the morning success habits to get your day going. Yeah. It also talks about the habits for the rest of the day to really grow your company and your life. And we cover the vivid vision there as well. So cool. You can get it from both sides, either the vivid vision book or the Miracle Morning for Entrepreneurs.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. One thing I think about the vivid vision, what you're saying is a lot of analytics build business plans, okay? A lot of creatives don't. And I'm on the creative side. So sit down and do the old traditional business planning is very difficult. But
remember, this isn't the plan.
But that's what I'm about to say. Like, I feel like the reason why vivid vision really connected with me, and I think most of society, to be honest, is this here. It says entrepreneurs spend too much time worrying about how something is going to happen. As a result, they lose their ability to dream about something great. In fact, what they lose is the creative process. And so I read that, I'm like, yes, because they get into the how, and now that's why I hate business planning.
Yeah.
if you look at it and you look at the dream, I'm not encouraged to dream. It's a very childish thing. And my childhood, well, I didn't have a childhood. It was just always hard. And it's kind of cool to think, wow, just dream. And it's almost like a permission to just play.
Well, and I actually said that in my TED talk as well, that we funny, I've forgotten about even doing it. It's been so long now. It was 9 years ago. But kids have the ability to dream, and we somehow strip it out of them. And we need to allow kids to continue to dream, because they'll actually make them come true. And as adults, I think we need to dream more and write down what we see without worrying about how it's going to happen. And when
like, hey, I can fly with 2 envelopes on my hand. Like, it just doesn't, I just feel like, how far can you take it?
Well, I'll give you a great example of the visioning process. And not a lot of people know this, but Kimball Musk, who's Elon's brother, Kimball worked for me back in 1993. So did his his cousin, Peter Reeve, who built Solar City. So I've known Elon and Kimball Musk since 1993, 95. I met Elon, but 93, I've known Kimball. Elon, his first company wasn't Tesla, and his first company wasn't PayPal. His first company was a company called Zip2. And Zip2 was a mapping company. I was a reference for them in their very first round of funding back in January of 1995. They had one employee. I've known Elon and his ability to vision for a long time. They wouldn't back Elon for Zip2 because he didn't have any experience. They loved his vision, but they backed Kimball's experience at having to put the plan in place. Kimball had run a College Pro Painters franchise.
Gotcha. So for sure. There's some training there. Yeah.
So they matched vision with the people, and then that's what accelerated the growth. Wow. When Elon was starting Tesla, do you know why the Model S has a 7-seat option?
I have listened to this answer, but
okay. So it has the 7-seat option because he's got 5 kids, right? He's got twins and triplets. If you're going to build a car, why would you build a car that can't fit your family? That would be insane. So he decided to build one that was super fast and sexy, like his old car, the McLaren F1. And it had to fit his family because he's got 5 kids, so 7-seat option. And he's 6'5", so the Tesla's got lots of leg room. In fact, I used to have the Model S. When I sat as 6'4" in the front seat, there was a lot of leg room behind me in the passenger seat, which is not normal for a car.
Yeah.
He had all kinds of headroom, leg room, because he's 6'5". So he said, this is what I want. Who can help me build it? He didn't worry about how to make it happen. He's just like, this is what it's going to be like.
So cool. Like you said, vision plus people equal what?
Execution.
It's like speed, right? Or something, right? Like it's like.
See, again, business is really simple. If you've got a whole bunch of great people, but they don't know where they're going, then you're just fucking running around like rabbits. If you've got a really great vision, but you don't have the great people, then you can't execute. Vision without execution.
Then you're just heads in the clouds all the time. You're just always dreaming, and then you have the chaos behind you either way, because you're literally chasing a dream without any kind of steps.
Yeah. So Thomas Edison said, vision without execution is hallucination. So you need to have vision. You need to have the people. When you match them together and you flip the org chart upside down and you support them in doing their jobs and you grow them as leaders, everything's easy.
It's beautiful. It's funny how life is, though, Camren. Is it Cam or Camren? What do you go by?
It's both. I go by Camren. I was Cam for the first 25 years of my life, but I was named Camren.
Yeah, okay.
When I moved, I got tired of introducing myself as Cam, and people would say, Ken? No, Cam.
You got that too? Oh. Man, I say Ben. They're like, hi, Dan. I'm like, what the hell? Right. What? You got that too? I thought it was the only, because I'm on the phone. I'm like, yeah, it's Ben. Hi, Dan. Every time. I'm like, so I try to like change my mouth. Ben, like, do I got an accent? Yeah, that's funny. You had the same thing.
So I just decided I'm going back to Camren, and now it's Camren.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, awesome, man. Well, you know what? I started working on my vivid vision, and I have some thoughts around it, and I think it's going to be good for the audience, because we talk about, it sounds so great. Like everything we say, like it's like listening to a TED talk. But when it comes right down to someone actually doing it, I wanted to go through that process myself. Right. And so I'd love to share with you a couple things I discovered using your system, your process, and get some feedback from you. First of all, I'm a hyper creative. I'm an executor beyond executor. I've never dug out, like I literally went out of the city. I spent 2 days on my own to do this.
Okay.
And I started working through listening to how you were sitting in your hammock. You did your notes, just a notepad. I literally followed this. It actually impacted me. I'm not the easiest guy to just be impacted. I'm like, this is it. I need this. So I worked through it and I got a lot out of it. Okay. So I've got about 3 or 4 pages of information, but my first discovery was my vision of where I think I'm going. Holy shit, that takes a lot more than I thought.
Right.
And then I realized I've got 4 vivid visions. Podcast, my academy I run a large successful real estate team, and I've got a family with 5 kids. And I went, if I was to do your process and go through it and create like that vivid vision for everyone, holy shit, that really brought me down to a reality that I've got a lot on my plate that I think I'm going to accomplish. But I know I'm not going to accomplish what I think. Like, I get lots done. If you compare me to everyone else, I'm probably ahead of the game. But to do what I vision, this vivid vision is crazy needed now. Like, it's almost like I just feel like more lost and more too busy than I've ever felt because I did this vivid vision. Does that make sense at all?
Well, so yes. Here's the key. You want to do a vivid vision for your family, for sure.
Yeah.
The other 3, I would kind of try to keep together as one, unless you really do run them as separate companies. But what you're starting to realize is it doesn't matter how much you get done. It matters how well you can attract people who can get a lot done, how well you can grow people so they can get more done, how much you can automate and outsource and optimize processes and grow your people. So you can't be that radical, self-reliant individual to grow anymore, right?
Yeah.
And that's where a company has to mature. I was telling a CEO the other day, how old are you now?
38.
So when you were 8 years old, and when you were 18 years old, and when you were 28 years old, and when you're 38 years old, you were still Ben or Dan.
Yeah, Dan depends if I'm a customer service person from Shaw, but yeah.
So 8, 18, 28, 38, you're still Dan. Now, are you the same, or Ben?
Okay, we're Benjamin.
Are you the same Ben at 38 that you were at 8, or have you changed?
Well,
You had to change.
Had to change, yeah.
Right? You know, you can't. Do you act the same now as you did at 18?
No,
God, no.
That is not. Nope, not at all.
So you had to evolve as a human being. Well, your company has to evolve as well. As a company scales, the entrepreneur and the people running it have to change to become more of a mature organization and scale. You keep your core values.
Yeah.
You stay who you are. You don't lose your core purpose and your kind of small town work ethic and stuff. But the way that you are as a human and the way you are as a company start to evolve. So you just have to evolve your company and the way you run it to make your vivid vision come true now.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it. It really exposes I'm good at outsourcing. I got lots, but then it really walking through it and hearing you and getting a perspective, I realize I'm really not that good at it at some level because I'm like, man, I'm still doing so much you could be outsourcing. So the conversation in my head is like, hey, where do I need to develop those people? How do I outsource more? And it's like you get to a point where you grow in an average guy compared to me, it's like, wow, you're way more ahead or you're way more bigger, but then you look and like to go to the next level, you're maxed out every bit of time you have.
Yeah.
You have to. And it was very, very interesting.
This is the one lesson that I think we've actually been hurt with over the years or two. And it is that old, they call it the Protestant work ethic, that work hard.
Interesting you say that.
Growing a company is not about working hard. It's actually about working smart.
Yeah.
Kind of like, can you be lazy and get other people to do everything for you?
I love that.
Because the more you can actually get other people to do it, the faster you scale. Now, I want to talk, the other thing is that we were told in the school system that we had to be smart. We had to memorize everything.
Yeah.
Well, the reality is we no longer have to be smart. It's all on the internet. It's all accessible. What we need to do is hire really good people who work well together, who collaborate, who can problem solve, who can work together as teams.
Yeah.
It's now about the teams of teams versus hiring really smart people. So
say that again. Say that again, Camren. Say that. What did you say? So you said it's more about first you say it's about being smart. Not working. So then you say it's
No,
not about being smart.
It's more about working smart.
Yeah.
Working smart, not being smart, working smart.
Gotcha.
It's about being lazy and outsourcing and delegating more than getting it all done ourselves, right? Many hands make light work.
And then so the team, the higher the team that works well together, you're saying.
Yeah, you think about a small town value, like when they used to do the barn building, like one guy didn't build a barn by himself.
Oh, good. Love that.
They got the whole neighborhood to build the barn. So what are you trying to build the company by yourself or work so hard? What you want to do is get a bunch of people to do it. So
I got a new mastermind name. You're going to steal it from me. I'll tell you that right now.
Barn builders. Yeah.
Not bad, eh?
Right.
Might have to take that one.
No, it's good. You should take it. It's good. I like
Ideas are cheap though.
No, well, yeah, it's execution. So the second part then is that teams of teams, and it's how do you get and collaborate and hire people like that. So I think that's the key, is looking for people that work well in groups, problem solve well, can research well, can work on their unique abilities and leverage and work with others well, communicate well. That's really the core to growth. Now, when you talked about outsourcing more, I want to caution our listener that don't jump from I need this done, outsource it. There's 4 things you have to do. The first is ask yourself, can I stop doing it? Like, does it really even need to be done? Just because it's an idea, it doesn't necessarily have to be done. So can we stop it?
Great point. Can you just kill it, you mean? Like,
yeah, just kill it. The next one is, can we optimize it?
What does that mean?
Well, can you do it in a better way? Before you outsource it, like, can you optimize it first?
Yeah.
The next one is, can you automate it? Like, before you outsource it, can you just automate the darn thing? Like,
technology wise and stuff.
Right. So I can drive a car, or do I really need to drive a car? Maybe I can do it over video. Yes, I still need to drive a car. Okay, I'm going to drive a car. Do I need to drive the car? Well, no. What route should I take? Well, I can take this route. It's faster. Okay. Do I need to drive? No, I can hire a driver. Oh, I'm an autonomous vehicle and it can drive itself. Right?
Yeah.
Did we cut?
It was just a little bit of a glitch. That's it.
Okay. So, the process on driving the car is like deciding if you really need to drive a car, taking the best route, getting an autonomous vehicle to drive you there, or really hiring a driver to drive you.
So can you kill it? Can you optimize it? Can you automate it? And what was the 4th one?
Outsource.
Outsource. And that's when you decide to outsource. So instead of saying just outsource it, you're saying ask a couple of questions before you just pull that trigger.
Correct. Because
Gotcha.
too many people just outsource it when I'm like, wait, why are we even doing it?
Why? It's such a great. I love the first question. Can we kill it? My favorite. Less is always more. Like, if we can kill something, how much stuff do we build that's not needed? I just love that thought.
I'll give you a really ground level, like a very, very basic example.
Cool.
Getting your grass cut every week. Could it be done every 2 weeks? Like, imagine how much money you would save in the course of your lifetime if you only got your grass cut every 2 weeks, right? Or that's the kill part, right? Like, do I even do it?
Do I even need to do it?
Or how often do we really need to do it? Like,
just we get the neighbor, go knock on the neighbor's door, and like,
so often it's just been habits, right? And these habits don't have to
challenged.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really good. I'm sure the people listening to this is going to take that practical, and that's such a good one. There's so many different business owners and even people in life, like it's in families, that you can use the same thought. Like, can you outsource it? Like, I remember, can you share about how you have changed your life personally in your own, like your cooking and your cleaning, and you say that you do nothing around the house. I'm sure some old time ladies are going, you're lazy.
No, but my time is more valuable. So I'll give you an example. So my coaching time, I coach CEOs all over the world, and my coaching is $6,500 a month for 3 hours. So my effective hourly rate is $2,100 an hour is what I charge for coaching. So if I'm going to coach someone for $2,100 an hour, is it worth it for me to do laundry and change light bulbs and cut grass? No, I should pay somebody $30 to do that, and I should coach somebody for $2,100.
Totally.
Right. And if I spent an hour looking for a new coaching client, I would land one, and that's 80 grand a year versus spending an hour doing things. So what I try to do is outsource everything except genius, right? Where I don't want to do that stuff. And I'll give you an example, like dinner parties. When I have dinner parties and I'll have 3 couples over for dinner, I'll have a woman come in to clean. So while we're eating, she's cleaning up the entire kitchen. She's removing plates from the table. She's cleaning up so I can actually spend time with my guests.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. And even just the mental presence of where you're at, like even the women, my wife would be totally thinking of the cleaning and all of that stuff. If that was going on, the presence that you would have for your guests.
Yeah.
And the being in the moment with them, it's because it's all taken care of. So I think the quality of your life increases as well. Just the mental pressure's got to go down, right?
Yeah. I was coaching a CEO the other day who I've coached for 4.5 years. I coached he and his leadership team. He just raised $255 million from Warburg Pincus last year. He was saying, this was a couple of years ago, he's like, yeah, I got to go get my car washed. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I got to get it washed. I'm like, yeah, but you don't have to get it washed. He goes, no, I do. I got to drive home, get the gas filled up and get the car washed. I'm like, why doesn't your assistant do that every Monday and Thursday?
Yeah.
He's like, whoa. So now every Monday and Thursday, Bobby's assistant goes to the gas station, fills it up with gas, gets the car washed. Bobby's car is clean.
Totally.
He's paying.
And during that, and that's 2 hours. Unless you love washing your car, like it's one of those passionate things, then
you're fucked up in the head if you love washing your car more than.
There's a lot of fucked up people in the head, though.
More than doing yoga for an hour, or more to going to the gym for an hour. Like you have to rank it in all the other things you love, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Reading a book, spending time with your wife, spending time with a friend. Like, what would you rather spend your time on?
Yeah,
tasks or life that you enjoy, right?
Yeah, for sure. So and the question would be, why is the car more important than those things? That's
what are you avoiding, right? What are you avoiding by doing all these menial tasks?
So on that note, I got a question for you. So Philip McKernan, he's been my mentor for probably 8 years. I've spent a ton of time right from the beginning with him. He's helped me with my life massively. He has challenged me to the absolute core on my what do I want in life, my values. I tell stories to myself and he goes, bullshit. You want to friggin' put your head in the sand and get the hell away from the guy sometimes. And then other times you're just like, wow, he freaking can see everything. He can see through me. I've become good friends with him now. He's a good friend of mine. And the reason why I bring that up is because vivid vision, this is the one thing I wonder, I wanted to hear your thoughts on it. So many people go the wrong direction for 2 to 3 years with the greatest business plans, the best visions. I find that could be a flaw in the whole system. Where does it come in to go, is that what I really want? Especially entrepreneurs, because it's so money driven or success, or I want a house in Phoenix or whatever it would be. Like, how do you challenge that to get authentic, vivid vision?
I think that's where you get the coach and you get your mastermind group, or you get your a peer group that you're in, like an EO, or you get checked, you ask people, you get them to read it. But that you're asking a deeper question, right? I don't want to with the boundary. I don't want to throw out a vivid vision because you haven't done your own gut check on your life.
I'm totally with you. I just feel like it's a question that we need to ask. That's all.
Yeah. No, I think there's a lot of value to having a mastermind group that you're in, or a coach, personal coach, life coach. I've done work with a shaman. I've done work with Philip McKernan. I've spent days with him where he did. Oh yeah, I didn't like him when I first met him because
that poor guy. Same thing happens. Almost everyone he meets, like, it takes a while.
Yeah, he called me on some shit, and I'm like, I think you're an asshole. I don't like you, and I love him now, man. He's a good dude. Yeah,
That's what happened to me, and you get hooked a little bit on him because you're like, it's someone to have the balls to tell you the truth. Like, how many people do we surround ourselves with, especially when you find a little bit of success, it just changes a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I love what you're saying. I think it's a great topic. Is that why do we connect with those masterminds or these places? I think it's with the purpose of being challenged.
Well, there's the challenge. There's also that community of being around people who think similar. Like, it's really hard being an entrepreneur. We're different, right? We are ADD. We're on the spectrum for bipolar disorder. Most entrepreneurs are bipolar. Bipolar disorder has been nicknamed by the medical community as the CEO disease.
Crazy.
But it's not actually a disease. It's what makes us us, right? I wouldn't want to be anything like my ADD is a superpower. I see everything.
Oh, I see it too.
I know what's happening with the market, the economy, my suppliers, the pulse. I can read the room. So if I was so focused, I'd miss all that.
Totally. You're talking my language. It's nice to see a fellow ADDer. I see it all at once. And like you walk into my world and you think it's crazy, but I've got so much going on. I got it all.
Yeah, and we're not supposed to be like teachers, right? Teachers, you don't find a lot of inspiring teachers building companies. You don't find a lot of engineers. You don't find a lot of doctors that are like, they're so focused and so in this zone that, So we're the 3%ers. Well, guess what? 3% of the population runs companies. We're doing exactly what we're supposed to do because we don't fit those other boxes.
I love the permission and the conversation. We got to keep talking about this all the way to the end, because there's not this show. I'm saying all the way to the end in our life. Like,
yeah, well, because we can't call these things diseases.
Yeah.
You know, redheads are the disease.
I married one.
I'm kidding.
I'm gonna say you wouldn't believe what Camren said today.
No, but like my point, like,
no, I get it. Yeah.
Because we're not like everybody else doesn't make us a disease.
You're unique.
Right? Exactly. And what we're supposed to do is leverage our uniqueness and understand it and see it as a strength. So when you understand the strengths of attention deficit and you understand the strengths of bipolar, they're no longer disorders.
Yeah. Yeah. Even you saying the strengths of bipolar, there's another book title.
Well, look them up. Like, you can actually Google the strengths of bipolar, and it's powerful shit, man.
I'm gonna have to do that. I think that's amazing.
Our mania is why people follow us. It's the excitement, the energy, the uninformed optimism. It's that zeal. It's that holy shit, I will follow you anywhere. And then the depression and kind of crash afterwards, the stress is just us course correcting. We just need to recharge. You can't operate at this high level all the time. You fall, you crash. So we have to give ourselves permission to relax. We have to give ourselves permission to take a break. We have to work way less hours than we work, or work in our focus time and our buffer time, right?
Yeah, like I don't know. What you're saying is totally amazing. Obviously, I self-reflect and identify. I feel like that's the lonely world of the entrepreneurial, because really it's nice to chat. It's like, yeah, man, you should see what I get done in a 10-hour period, probably twice as much as most. The insanity of but if I don't take the evening or the weekend, or I can hit burnout real fast.
Yeah, well, I haven't worked an evening in probably 8 years. I haven't worked after 5:30, 6 o'clock in 8 years, and I never work weekends, Saturday and Sundays, never, ever, ever. Because I'm never going to get caught up. When you say to yourself, "I'll just work tonight to catch up," no, you won't. You'll set more goals tomorrow. That list is never going to be done. So it's like saying, "I'll be happy when I get to the horizon." You're never going to get to the horizon. Keeps moving.
I keep adding more stuff to get more efficient.
Right. So you're never going to
love that thought. It's hard thought, to be honest.
Well, it's hard because people don't want to confront what's bugging them. They don't want to confront what their fears are. They don't want to confront their insecurities. They don't want to confront that they've stopped calling their friends years ago and it's hard to reach out to them. They don't want to confront that they've lost touch with their hobbies and their passions.
Yeah.
They don't like who they see in the mirror. Well, fuck, guess what? Suck it up, Buttercup.
Take a good look.
Take a good look and start making some changes on that, and then decide what you want to do for fun and start doing it.
Yeah, but it's simple. It is actually simple.
Work is just what we do to make money. And I'll tell you, you said you want some full disclosure. Let me read you. I'm going to go grab a book, which is 15 or 20 feet away, and come back and read you something that I wrote yesterday, okay?
Love it.
Okay, one sec.
Let's hear it. It's cutting edge stuff coming up.
Walking. So
you're on the right show to be doing this stuff. It's what do you got? Let's see.
So 3 years ago, my kids bought me a book, and it was called My Dad. It's My Dad, His Stories, His Words. Okay. Cool. And so I had to go through this, and I had to write answers to all these questions. And the last question was, how do you want future generations of your family to remember you? And I was like, wow, sadly, I want to be less about work and success. I just really want to be a good dad, a good friend. I've spent too much time working. I want to do more, experience more, try more, play more, see more, love more, and be more relaxed and have fun more. I want to be remembered for that. I love you both so much. XOXO, Dad. That was hard for me to write.
Today?
I wrote it yesterday. And it was hard for me to write because I realized that what I want to be remembered for isn't what people know me for. What they know me for is all this business stuff, and none of this fucking matters.
Yeah.
Like, this is just what we do to make money.
Yeah.
You know, what I want to be known for is having fun and having passions. And I want my kids, when they're talking to their friends, going, yeah, dad loved to play golf, and dad went to Burning Man, and dad had dinner parties all the time, and dad had friends around, and dad was cool. Yeah, he worked. Yeah, he was a great worker, and he wrote all these books. He was good, but dad did all these other things. And I think that's the introspection that, this book really had me get introspective. But
it's really interesting. Thanks for sharing that. That's fresh and that's real. I love that.
I wrote it last night.
Especially with someone that's coming from your level of success in the typical traditional ways of calling success, money and opportunities and your resume. And it's funny, like I think about what you just said, and I'm just reflecting now, is if my kid said, you know, like, it's funny because they say daddy's working, and that's a big, like, it's just, they don't see like, wow, dad's coaching. He doesn't see me building a company. He doesn't see me, like, they don't see any of that. They just call it working.
Well, and even if they see it, like, do I really want my kids to go, yeah, my dad was a great coach. Yeah, my dad was a great speaker. Yeah, my dad did all these great books. Fuck no.
Weird, hey? Yeah.
Why do I want, like, if I think about like my funeral, like, what do I want my kids saying at my funeral? Like, if I had an audience filled with friends or family, my dad wrote a lot of great books. Fuck, blah, really? That was my life? Ugh.
Yeah, it's gotta be the impact. This is some level, right?
Right. This is just what we do to make money. So yeah, my dad did this work and it impacted people, or my dad did work, but that didn't define him. You know, he also did all these other things, you know, like.
Interesting.
So like we're packing up the car and going skiing on Friday morning and for a few days. I've got my nephew flying out from Toronto tomorrow to come and ski with us for a few days. And I want to do more with my kids, right?
Do you take your kids with you when you speak?
I have, but again,
yeah.
You know, I don't want them to like, I want them to know that I had that impact, and that I want them to know what I was doing with it and be proud of that. But I want them to come with me when I play tennis. I want them to come with me when I go to Burning Man. I want them to come with me when I have friends for dinner. I want them to.
There's a lot more than just that speaker.
Yeah.
It's funny. I brought my wife and kid. I was in Toronto speaking, and I thought, man, this is going to be cool. I'm doing what I love. My wife and kid are with me. To be honest, I wouldn't do it again. I felt it was distracting. I felt it was like they didn't even want to be there. They just wanted you to finish so we could go to friggin' Niagara Falls. And I was like, in my head, it actually took away from both experiences, because I wasn't quite finished. I was in the world of like inspiring people, coaching people, and you're so focused there. And then I'm thinking, oh, my wife and kid are here. Okay, so and then I'm like, with them, I'm not quite finished, and someone wants to meet with me, and I'm like, I just felt that I'm never doing that again. It was like this dream of they'd come with me, and it just was not what I thought it was going to be.
Well, I think that's why we have to turn our phones off, and it's why we have to not work after 5 o'clock, and it's why we never work on weekends, is so that we can have our kids and our family and our friends see a full, well-rounded us, and we can have a well-rounded us. I mean, look, if I met you at a dinner party, I don't really want to talk to you about your work. You don't really want to talk to me about my work. I don't want to talk to a lawyer about his stuff. I don't want to talk to an accountant about his stuff. I don't give a fuck what a teacher does. Like, I want to know about their joys and their insecurities and their fears and their passions, and where they traveled and what they learned. And I want to know what their answers were in the books they were reading or writing. Like, and I think that's what I'm more focused on now than probably ever, and have been for the last few years, is I want to be the kid. I want to be the dad that I want my kids to be. I want my kids to look and go, wow, I want to be more like dad. And if dad is just known for working, I don't want my kids going, I want to be a workaholic.
Yeah, and then either they're going to join you or rebel against it. One of the two.
Right. But if they go, I want to go again. I want to go with dad. I want to go with dad again. I like dad's friends because they're in the house and they're funny. I like, you know, I saw dad drinking and then I saw him get up in the morning and cut the grass. Like, I want them to see a well-rounded person, not just this guy who works.
It's almost like I'm watching you do the Vivid Vision live here. You're just imagining, and it's almost like telling the story. Like last year, I started writing my story, what happens in 2019, as if I came back in time. Yeah. And I was talking to Ben, And that's why I probably related to what you're doing here. I just thought, oh, this is what happened, Ben. You're not going to believe it. This year, here's what happened.
These are my rough notes that I'm starting to write down right now on my personal vivid vision for 2021. I'm just starting the exercise to write my 2021 personal vivid vision.
Yeah, I can't wait to. Finishing is harder than starting for me. I'm going to keep dedicated and finish mine as well. I think it's way too important. You can't move forward without it. I'm so pumped about the process. Now, I got a couple of questions here for you, a little bit.
No, when's yours going to be done?
Here we go, right? Coaching just began. When's it done? That's the problem. I have to set aside more time. I'm going to be in Vancouver.
No, just pick a date you want to have it done by and then reverse engineer it and put the time in your calendar. You have lots of time to do it. When will you have it done by?
February 15th.
Okay, so I'm committing for mine is February 28th, and I'm getting every COO who's a member of the COO Alliance to also write their personal vivid vision and have it completed on February 28th. And we're sharing our personal vivid vision inside of our mastermind group for the COO Alliance.
Cool.
I'll share mine with you on February 28th, but I want yours from you. I want you to send me yours on February 15th.
Why don't I match yours on the 28th?
Well, you've already got a head start. Why do you need extra 2 more weeks?
Yeah, you're doing what I do with other people. I love it. That's
your call.
Great.
You have all the time you want, but
February 15th is great. I'll have that done.
Send it to me.
Okay, I promise.
I'd love to read it.
I'll get my assistant to put in my calendar, and you watch when something gets done when it's in my calendar.
So now what you do is you just reverse engineer it and say, like, what are the things that need to happen so that I can have it done, right? And
honestly, I totally understand. I get it. I do the same thing. And for some reason, you just have that not committed.
Well, we're scared because we're scared to commit to something that we know is going to take work and we know is change, and it's easier to be stuck in the rut and habits. It's hard to make that commitment to change.
Well, it also takes away from other things. It takes away from the other activities that you got scheduled, but it actually becomes a priority then. That's what happens. You're prioritizing this as one of the top things, which is I really believe it needs to be. Like, how do you grow direction without actually thinking about where you want to go? No, I got other things to do, and it's almost backwards. So you call me out, and it's great. I think it's great. I really appreciate that. I honestly do.
You're welcome.
Think we need to surround ourselves with people willing to do that. We're probably coming up closer to an hour here. I've got a couple questions I want to kind of ask you. You've got so much going on. I was listening to your content, and it's so good. We talked about ADD. We talked about that. I'm just going to link your YouTube 18-minute talk on how to raise an entrepreneurial kid to this show. Okay. I think every single person needs to watch it. I'll probably be sharing it.
Grab the link from TED.com, because there's a few other versions that have had millions of views as well on YouTube and other channels, but grab the actual TED.com link. Okay,
my editor will hear this and he'll do that for us. Why do people price too low?
I don't know.
Is that really an issue?
Yeah, it's an issue. I don't think a lot of people sit down and think about it. I also don't think a lot of people understand the core fundamentals of a business, which is you've got your revenue, and then you've got your cost of goods sold, and you've got overhead, and you got your net margin. I don't think people really understand that. So you've got to make a decision. In the coffee world, do you want to be the Starbucks of coffee, or do you want to be the Tim Hortons or Dunkin' Donuts of coffee, or do you want to be the Walmart or gas station coffee, or do you want to be the hipster coffee shop, right? Because there's now the hipster. Like, I go to Starbucks, I'm paying $4.70 for a latte, and that's fucking crazy when you think about it. Because I could get one at Tim Hortons or Dunkin' Donuts for $2.30, or I could go to a gas station and get one for like $2.
Yeah.
But then I can go to this hipster coffee shop that's fucking cool, and there's great people there, and I can pay $6 for a latte. And guess where I'm going now? I'm going there.
Of course.
So they've decided now, what's it like? Well, their environment is better. The people are friendlier. The coffee's actually great. The food they're serving is better. They're pricing at a premium and giving me a premium service. Now, who do you think can make more money? Well, they all can make money, but I don't want to grind it out for pennies.
Yeah.
So it's like my coaching. I coach at a high level. I only coach premium entrepreneurial companies. And I charge a premium for my product. $6,500 a month for 3 hours a month is a premium.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no question.
But I get fantastic results for my clients. Now you can go get a coach for $500 a month and get probably 6 hours a month with them, and that's great. Bob's your uncle. But they probably haven't built multiple brands, and they probably haven't grown. Like, I coach the current number 2 and the current number 12 company to work for on Glassdoor in the US. And I've coached them before anybody knew of them, right? So I can charge a premium and I can deliver a premium, and then I only do that, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just that, it's deciding.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I just see it a lot. Like, and I also think about my pricing. That's why I asked too. It's like, you want to deliver massive value. You want to make sure you charge appropriately. It's a big deal. Like, even basically real estate agents always discounting to get their deals, always. You know what I mean? Like, it just goes down to that.
It's backwards. You should be, but you have to deliver the premium service for it as well.
That's
right? People have expectations.
The question is, how do I build the premium service, not how do I raise my price?
Right.
First premium service, then price. Don't just. No. I've seen guys charge big prices and they didn't deliver.
Well, I think you have to deliver. I wouldn't try to give more. I would just put a stake in the sand that you're going to charge more right now. Like, when I came into 1-800-GOT-JUNK,
really?
I came into 1-800-GOT-JUNK. They had 14 employees at the head office. They had 12 franchises. I was the chief operating officer. And when I left 6.5 years later, we went to 330 franchises from 12, from 14 employees to 3,100 employees system-wide, and from 2 million to 106 million. And in that trajectory, one of the first things I was there, I had us raise our prices 50%. Across the board, we raised our prices 50%.
What happened?
We had better uniforms then. We just decided to charge more and deliver more. And all our competitors all of a sudden started to charge more too.
And it's a combination.
Yeah, we set the new bar. We decided to become the Starbucks of junk removal, or the FedEx of junk removal.
Cool. Very cool.
Right? But we had to then deliver. So we did deliver. We had clean, shiny trucks, friendly uniformed drivers, on-time service, upfront rates. Our call center won call center of the year in North America. We beat out all the other call centers.
You invested that money.
We invested.
You had more money to invest. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's great advice. So many people from a very small level to a large level can take that advice.
The key is just decide and then reverse engineer the how.
I love that. I love that. Okay, question for you. What is a weakness in people? Sorry, what is a weakness that most people see as a strength?
What is a weakness that most people see as a strength? I think what is a weakness that most people see as a strength, or do you mean the opposite? What's a strength most people see as a weakness?
Well, that's my next question.
Okay, so what's a weakness that most people see as a strength?
You know what I mean? Like, say there's a crazy cocky guy.
Most people see that being really detail oriented and getting everything perfect, they see that as a strength. That's a big weakness because it takes
to
get done. So we've heard the term minimum viable product. I call it minimum viable everything. That no one has ever, and I could run and grab this for you. This would be pretty funny. Let me grab this one.
Okay, let's do it.
Only because I just found this the other day, and it's really funny. This is my transcript from university.
Oh, wow.
I just found this the other day. Can you see my grades on the right side?
Let's see here. 4.0, 3.0, 2.5, half a point.
Now read the letter grades. Read the letter grades.
Oh, there it is. There it is. B, F, C, 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 D, D, C, C. You got an A in something. What's that, Jim?
I got an A on French, elementary French.
Which is funny, eh?
So my grades sucked in university.
Yeah.
But you know what? No one's ever asked for my transcript.
Yeah.
So it didn't actually matter.
So there's
perfect doesn't matter. So people see perfect as a strength. It's a huge weakness. Perfect causes procrastination. It slows everything down. Momentum creates momentum.
Okay. On that note, Gary Vee, you know who Gary Vee is?
Of course. Yeah.
Of course. He says, because he's insane too. I'm sure he's crazy ADHD and all that too.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what he says is he does a lot at 80% rather than a little at 100%. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it's the 80% result. So the key is, so there's two aspects. One is the Pareto principle, that 80% of your result comes from 20% of your effort. So the next part is get it 80% good and then pass it to somebody who can perfect it, but get them to get it 80% perfect and then pass it and get it more 80% perfect. The reason your vivid vision is taking so long is you're trying to get it perfect. It'll never be perfect. Get it fucking written.
Just get it done.
Get it written and then give it to a writer. So I have a woman, Jennifer Hude, who would take your vivid vision.
Yeah.
She'll make it pop off the page. You'll read what she wrote and you'll be like, shit, that's good. It'll be all your work, but she polishes it.
Beautiful.
For you to try to polish it, it'll take a year.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. I'm just digging too deep and trying to figure it out and trying to like not miss anything. And
right. It doesn't, like, you're going to miss a couple things. Who cares? Just get it once.
It's like you give permission just to bang it out.
Right. So that's
almost like you get out of your head a bit. It'll probably be more creative this way anyways.
Right. So I agree with Gary Vaynerchuk on the whole 80%. It's get it to 80% done and then pass it to somebody. They'll get the 20% opportunity 80% done. Now it's at 96% complete. That 4% that you could get perfect, you can get it 80% done by a third person. Now it's 3.2 more. Now you're at 99.2% complete. It's a series of quick passes.
It's funny, I do this. That's what's so weird. On so many different things in work, I call my assistant, can you write this for me? Good. And then I do a quick little edit on it. I send it back to her. I'm constantly running a business properly, but then I go back to these kind of like, you know, like there's certain, that's what I mean by doing the vivid vision. I'm realizing, wow, there's so many more efficient.
Right. It needs to be done, but not by you. Right. So it needs to be done, but not by us. And we need a couple of quick passes to people who can work in their unique ability to move it to the next level. But minimum viable. Momentum creates momentum.
Okay, I've never asked a question like this before. I just came up with it because I know you're writing a lot of books. And I know that's got to be on your head. And I think that you think of book titles. And I do the same thing. I just haven't written a book, but it's constantly as a thought. So I came up with some book titles. I want you to tell me what the book is about. Oh, we glitched out here. Oh, here we go.
I got you. Yep.
Okay. Silent pressure of an entrepreneur.
I think it's about the mind and how we struggle and the emotional roller coaster and the stress that we're under and we're by ourselves.
Okay. Raising kids right when everyone is going left.
I think it's why God gave us alcohol. No, I think it's just choosing your own path and trusting your gut and not following all these stupid trends, just doing what we already know works.
It's more of an intuitive trusting. Yeah. Independent. You got to do what you believe is right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You never get nothing. Oh, you already did this one. I love this. It's like you said this and it hit me. No one is ready to learn until they're ready to learn.
So the learner controls the environment. This is from one of the principles in teaching and education, that the student has to be ready to learn or they're going to shut down. Doesn't matter how good the teacher is, doesn't matter how good the content is. If the student doesn't show up wanting to learn it, they won't learn it. It's like,
what do you do? What do you do? Do you fire?
Like, I'm not listening, right? Well, you got to get them to listen. So the student controls, so you need to give them something to create a gap. They need to see a reason for needing to learn it.
A logical reason.
Right? It either needs to be they're passionate about it, they want to learn it, it'll get them into college, which is a shitty reason.
Yeah.
Or they're like, oh, it'll help me make money, or it'll help me get a girl, or it'll help, right?
It's the motivators. Interesting.
So you need to find out, you need to give them something that'll motivate themselves.
When should you say no, Camren?
I guess when it's wrong, when it defeats your core values, when it takes you away from your core purpose, when it defocuses you.
Because I remember some other thought leaders say the other side is they say yes. I just say yes to everything.
No, I think it's a danger. Like Warren Buffett, literally says no, and Max really, really is careful with his calendar. I think a leader's job is to say no much more often than we say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I also agree. Look at the ROI of things. What's the return on? We only have 3 resources: people, time, and money. And what's the ROI on those 3 things? If the ROI isn't high enough, why are we doing it in the first place?
Yeah, and it's like that. The idea: should we kill it? I love that question. Last question. It's a goofy one, but I love it. If you were to make a scratch and sniff sticker, what would be the smell and what would be the picture?
Wow.
I bet you've never been asked that question before.
It would either be the smell of my kids when they were born and a picture of them before and after, like then and now, or it'd be a picture of my girlfriend and what she smells like when I'm holding her. Be those things.
Cool.
Or maybe my mom, like something that's really, my mom died 16 years ago. There'd be that, something.
Wouldn't
like
that be something, a scratch and sniff sticker with your mom? Wouldn't that be something? That's really cool.
Yeah.
You know what? It's been awesome, Camren. Truly, I really like you. I think it's nice to meet you face to face. We've had some good chats already.
You as well.
I'd like to just leave it with, why don't you tell us what's going on? How do people get a hold of you? What do you want to say? Where can people find you? If there's anything.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I would leave is what I call rule number 6. So rule number 6 was, Reagan and Gorbachev were meeting 30 years ago in Russia, and they were trying to solve all the world's problems. And they were listening to each other over translations. You got the president of the Soviet Union, the president of the United States, and they're talking. And throughout the day, somebody would come in upset, and Gorbachev would smile and laugh, and he would say, remember rule number 6. And the person would calm down, and he'd leave the room. And at the end of the day, he'd said it 3 times, remember rule number 6. And Reagan said, I just need to know, like, we've solved all the world's problems, but what's rule number 6? And Gorbachev laughed and he said, rule number 6 is don't take yourself so effing seriously. And Reagan said, well, that's awesome. What are the first 5 rules? And Gorbachev said, there aren't any.
There aren't any.
And I think that's at the end of the day, like, none of us are getting out of this alive. This is just what we do to make money. And if we can have fun along the way and have a good time and not take ourselves so effing seriously, it just is way more fun for everybody. So that would be my parting words for everyone. If they want any of my content, my information, I've got 5 books now that are all that I've written over the last 8 years that are all on Amazon, Audible, iTunes. My books are Double Double, The Miracle Morning for Entrepreneurs, Meetings Suck, which is one that every employee at every company has to read, Vivid Vision that you've been talking about, and then the new one that's just come out is Free PR. And then my COO Alliance, which is the only network of its kind in the world for the second in command. Entrepreneurs are not allowed, but COOs are.
And you have a podcast or no?
Yeah, I've got a podcast as well called the Second in Command podcast, where everyone's interviewing the entrepreneur. I want the rest of the story. So we're interviewing the COOs. I just interviewed the second in command from the Cleveland Indians, and I'm interviewing the second in command for Bumble tomorrow. We've got some really good COOs that we've been interviewing.
How are you enjoying it? I'm curious. You've always been on the show. Now you're running the show. How are you enjoying it?
I'm enjoying it, actually. I like getting the rest of the story, and I'm enjoying hearing their story. And I'm never going to be a podcaster, but like, I'm not trying to be Guy Raz or Jordan Harbinger or like these guys that are like truly amazing as podcasters. But I'm enjoying the experience, and I'm getting really great guests, and it's kind of cool hearing their story. Where we've heard from Brian Scudamore from 1-800-GOT-JUNK. We heard, but I interviewed Eric Church, the COO from 1-800-GOT-JUNK, where it's cool getting the rest of the story.
Yeah, that's cool. And it's like kind of nostalgic in a way. That's a great one.
Well, that one was fun for me because Eric and I have known each other for 30 years as well. And then for me to talk to the new COO was really cool.
Some just pure chemistry at that point, right? Like it changes the whole feel. It's not just like an interviewing of a get to know kind of thing. So, well, Camren, I hope we can connect someday. I love what you do.
Stay in touch for sure. When you're out in Vancouver anytime, drop me a note. We'll go for dinner. If you're a foodie, I've got some great food places here.
Yeah, I love it. Maybe I will. Okay. See you, man. Thanks so much.
Take care.
Bye.